Is this working? Give me a hello in the comments if you're here. I know this is supposed to be on YouTube, but YouTube has completely and utterly crashed and given up the ghost. So if you have found me, fabulous. Give me a hello in the comments. I'm going to try and share this into a couple of groups, just so people know I'm here. Hi Hazel, hi Isabel. Do me a favour everybody, if you are able to, just share this link and let everybody know that I'm going to be live here. I'm going to try and just post it into, if somebody could post it into the event on my craft classes page, I would be really, really grateful. I'm just going to quickly jump on Instagram as well and let them know, and then I will get started. Let me just message there. So annoying. You've got to love YouTube, haven't you? It's just decided to completely and utterly give up the ghost this morning. Let me just go on Instagram quickly. Hello, for those of you who are waiting, YouTube has died. I am currently live on my Facebook profile, so I'm going to do it there, and I will download it and upload it to YouTube at some point, but if you want to sew along with me, you can find me on my Facebook profile. Hello, for those of you who are waiting. Right, okay. So, Jodie's found us. Isabel, where are we? You are on my Facebook profile. Hi, Darcy. Can you let Ange know we're here? Hello, Vicky. Good, good. You all seem to be popping on. Lovely. Oh, what a nightmare. What a nightmare. I should be able to download this. So I'll just give it a couple more minutes, let a couple of people find us, and then we can get started. Hopefully you've already cut out your fabric, those of you who are joining me. Sam, plug your phone in. Lovely. Brilliant, brilliant. Thank you all of you for sharing the links. I can see them coming through now. Lovely. Brilliant. Brilliant. Angel's on her way. No, Isabel, there's no instructions so we can start. Not yet. On your way, on your way. Lovely. Hi, Sam. Got it working. Here's Diane. Lovely. Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. You're all finding me. Brilliant. Excellent. Okay. Darcy, have we got Ange? I know she was coming. We're also looking for Kate as well. I can't get the link to share the link. How do I get the link? Must be able to. Then I can share it with Kate. And there we go. No, okay. No worries. I'm just going to get started. Hopefully people will find us shortly, and I can then edit this and download it, upload it. Have I frozen again? Whose Pinky Doodle Fool she wanted it? No idea, Elspeth. Lovely, thanks, Mishi. I know Kate in the group wanted to join in. I think I've frozen again. Don't believe this. No? Okay. Good, good, good. Right. Okay, let's get going. So, we are going to be making a brush roll holder today, or a crochet hook roll, or whatever you want to put in it. A roll, basically. And it's really, really simple to make. Now, I've given you some measurements just to give you a rough idea, but you don't have to stick to those measurements if you make these in the future, because basically all you're looking to do is find a piece of fabric that is big enough, that's wide enough to hold everything that you want it to hold, and tall enough to allow whatever it is you want to put in it, so if it's a pen, for instance, to have an element that flaps over the top. So all you need to do to work out how to make one of these to another size is basically lay out all of the items that you want to put into your holder, lay them out and see how much space they take. And then when you know how much space they take, you know that you want to add a little bit to the top. This is about, I could actually measure it for you, couldn't I? That would be really nice of me. This is about 3.5 inches taller than the top of where my pen goes. So it really is just a case of finding a piece of fabric that is wide enough, tall enough to house everything, and is going to allow you a bit of space to flap over the top. But for ease today, I've given you just some basic measurements so that you can cut out and make your hook roll or sewing roll, whatever you want to call it. So it's really simple. It's got 3 parts to it. It's got an outer, it's got an inner. I've chosen to do the same fabric, but you don't have to. And it's got the pocket here. There is also the option to put a piece of wadding in, and I have said that it is optional because I know not everybody's got wadding. I have put some wadding in this one, and I will put some in the one I'm going to make in a minute. But you can also quilt it as well if you want to, just to give it some more stability. We're not going to be doing that today, but I will talk you through where you would quilt it if you wanted to quilt it. Okay. Brilliant. So, Angie's here. Brilliant. I haven't frozen. Lovely. I'm all good. Super. It's a shame Kate hasn't found us yet, but hopefully they will catch up on the replay. So, let's put this to one side. Does that make sense when I talked about sizes? Does everyone understand what I mean by that? You're going to want to put your irons on if you haven't already, because we're going to do a little bit of ironing first up. But you should all have 3 pieces of fabric, 2 pieces the same for the front and back of your roll, and then one that's slightly smaller but the same width for your pockets. And this is the first thing we're going to do. We're going to take that pocket piece and we're going to fold it wrong sides together lengthways, so that it forms a piece that's going to make our pocket. Is basically a double thickness. So we want to fold it so that the raw edges are touching, and then we're going to go to our iron and give it a really good press and lots of steam so we get a really nice crease on that fold line. There we go. And once you've given it a really good press, we are going to run a line of top stitching all the way along the fold line. This really is aesthetic more than anything. It doesn't do anything other than look pretty. I guess you could say it might strengthen it up a little bit when you're putting things in and out, just makes it a little stronger, holds it a little stronger. So let me just pop the other camera on. There we go. And we're going to top stitch down that fold line. So all I'm going to do is put the edge of my presser foot onto the fold line, put my needle down. I'm not changing my stitch length or anything, this is just my average straight stitch, and I'm going to sew all the way down that fold line. There we go. Beautiful. So I'll let you all do that, let you all catch up, and then once you've sewn, top stitched down your fold line, give me a thumbs up in the comments. I'm going to just switch a light on as well because it's a bit dark in here. It's come over all grey and rainy and stormy. Ooh. There we go, it's a bit better, isn't it? Lovely. Hi Susan, don't worry, I'm going to let you all catch up. I'm just going to message Kate actually and let her know that I'm on Facebook. You can give me a thumbs up once you've top stitched along that line, everybody. Let's have a look. There we go, let's pop it in here. There we go. Lovely. Get some thumbs up there. And Sarah, Darcy, Sam and Elspeth. Lovely. Okay. So while the rest of you are top stitching along your fold, this is the point when you're going to work out where you want your pockets to be and how big you want your pockets to be. Now obviously this is going to depend on what you're putting in it. When I use my one from my makeup brush roll, which is this one that I did here, I've done some wide pockets at this end, which were for sort of, there you can get 2 fingers in there. They were for more like your foundation brushes, your powder brushes, the bigger handled brushes. And then my slots have gone narrower as I've gone along, so that I can do my eye pencils and my makeup brushes that have obviously thinner stalks, I suppose is the word. Handles, that's the word I'm looking for. The same goes for crochet hooks and things like that. You're going to want to put different sizes in. If you're making this as a gift for someone and you're not really sure what they're going to use it for, then you can just, make it up as you go along. There really is no magic in the whole thing. All you're going to want to do is get your quilting ruler, and you're going to take this pocket piece. Now you know you've got a nice straight edge along the top because you've got your nice pressed fold and you should have a nice straight line of top stitching. So you can use that line of top stitching as your ruler and you can make sure that it's nice and straight. Now bear in mind, when you draw your lines on, you want to use a removable pen. You're going to be losing the first 1/4 inch along the edge here when we sew the whole thing together. So do factor that in when you're putting your first pocket in. So you're going to lose that first 1/4 inch. So you want to make sure if you want an inch pocket, for instance, on one end, you're going to want to make sure that you are measuring 1 1/4 inches. So you can either use the ruler this way round, so you've got the 1 1/4 inch and you can draw a line, or you really can just make it up as you go along. There is no magic in this at all. So I'm just going to do 1 1/4 inch from that side, from the right hand side. If you're left-handed, you might want to do left to right. And then I'm going to just do pockets every inch for the first maybe half or 3/4 of my roll. 1 inch pocket's normally a pretty good size if you want to put a pen or a decent sized crochet hook in. You'll be surprised if you go smaller, you won't be able to get a great deal in. Just make sure that your lines are nice and straight, that you're using that horizontal edge that you've just pressed and sewn as your guide. Don't be guided by the bottom, which may be a little bit wibbly wobbly because you might have cut it a bit wibbly wobbly. And I'm just drawing lines every inch along And then when I get to this last section here, I'm going to just make them a little bit smaller. I'm just going to go down to 3/4 of an inch, just so that I've got some slightly smaller ones, so that I can put smaller crochet hooks or smaller makeup brushes. Obviously, what you do is up to you, because only you know what you're going to be putting into your roll organiser. And I'm actually going to leave this big one at the end here fairly big, because I think there's room potentially to put a little pair of embroidery scissors or something in there. So I'm actually going to leave that one a couple of inches wide. Again, bearing in mind that the last 1/4 of an inch on the edge here, you're going to lose into your seam allowance anyway. So once you've drawn your lines onto your piece of fabric, give me a thumbs up. And I'm just going to grab some pins. It's not very often I use pins, but sometimes needs must. Sit and patiently wait for those comments, because I know it's going to take you a little while to do. But I love technology, haven't you? Best laid plans and all that this morning. Got here nice and early, got it all started, got it all running, and then no, wasn't happening. Okay. Beth, it's entirely up to you how many lines you draw. This is your hook roll. I've just literally done about every inch and to about here, and then I've done 3/4 of an inch, and then I've left a bigger bit at the end. It really is up to you. Thank you, Darcy. This is a fat quarter from a fat quarter pack that I was given the other day. I think it's probably an Aldi jobby. Oh no, it's a Kirsty Allsop fat quarter pack. I don't know whether they were in Aldi or Lidl or something, or Hobbycraft. I don't know. I was given these by a lady the other day, so I'm just using them up, which is good. Right, Sarah's done her lines, Hazel's done hers. How are you going, Darcy and Ange? I'm trying to think who else is joining in. Elspeth's sewing along, I think, as well. Annie, are you sewing along? Yep, Sam's sewing along. And Susan, are you still joining us, or are you just watching? How many hooks in the rainbow hook kit that you sell? Now that's a question, Isabel. Let me go and have a look. I've got one, I think. Let me see. See, I'm greedy. I've got 2 of these rainbow hook sets. And I've also got the pastel one as well, which is the lace weights. There is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 hooks in the Cloverarma hook set. So if you want to make 9 slots, lovely. Everybody's done. Brilliant. Okay, so now you're going to take your backing piece, so your background piece for your inside, and you're going to lay your pocket on top. Obviously, if your fabric is directional, then bear that in mind. I've done some terrible cutting, as you can see. Mine's a tiny bit longer, but that doesn't matter. You're just going to position it onto the bottom, and then take some pins and pin it in place. Now, what you don't want to do is have to take those pins out when you sew. So try and put the pins in so that they're nowhere near the lines. So I'm just putting a couple in down the middle of my channels, just like about 4 in there, 2 at the ends. One there, one there, one there, and one there. Just pop them in place. And then you're going to sew down each of these lines. Now again, if you've got a lock stitch function on your sewing machine, so that's the little bullseye button that goes up and down 5 times and does a little knot for you. then you can use that so it's nice and neat and you don't have any ugly back tacks. But if you haven't got a lock stitch function, then you are going to want to do a back tack at the top here just to secure that thread, otherwise it could potentially come undone. But there's no need to do any back tacks at the bottom. For those of you who did the tea bag holder course with me last week on YouTube, it's exactly the same process as when you sewed down the centre of your tea bag holder. And she says, how much is the set of hooks? Off the top of my head, I'm not sure, and it is on the website in the haberdashery section. Right, I'm going to switch over to my sewing machine. Here we go. And we're going to sew down those lines. So again, I'm just starting at the top of my fold. I'm going to put my needle down. I've got the pen line in the centre of my presser foot, so I know that my needle is going to go down on that line and I'm going to be able to sew on that line. I'm going to do a couple of stitches forwards and a couple of stitches back if I haven't got a lock stitch button, and then I'm going to sew all the way down the line till I get to the bottom and cut my threads. And I'm going to repeat that down each and every line that I've drawn. So off you go, people. That's me doing a lock stitch. Just goes up and down 5 times, ties that little knot, and then lets me sew down the line. It is a very handy little function. I think you will have it if you've got a computerised Janoni machine. It looks like a little bullseye. Sewing down all of those lines. Oh, thank you, Kay. Kay's put a hook set up on the comments. That is the last set, by the way, the set that I've got here. I don't have any more in stock, so if you do want that, go grab it quick. I'll post it actually before I leave today. There we go. Are you sewing along with us today, Kay, or have you just joined us? Watch him, no problem, Kay. So we've had some hiccups today with the Joy for YouTube. There we go. So I've sewed all my lines. I will obviously wait until you've all sewn yours. But when you have sewn them, you can snip off the little threads at the top. little tail ends. You don't need to worry about doing them on the back if you've got them on the back, because they're just going to get hidden away when we sew the whole thing together. Okay. I think this weather is really playing havoc with the internet and streaming in general. I know Ricky was having issues last night with his DJ set, and it was going in and out and a right pain in the bottom. So I have a feeling all this strong wind that we're having is probably not playing ball. There we go. Then all done. Give me a thumbs up once you have sewn your lines, people. That's what's done. Brilliant. Jane's done. Lovely. Brilliant. Oh, thank you for all the shares, everybody. Good. Lovely. Rebecca says, I'm sewing along, but you can't see my comments when I use my iPad. All good though. This is my phone. No worries, Rebecca. That's fine. All good. All good. So you're going to snip all those little threads off, and then if you've used an iron-off pen, then you can give it an iron. That's what I'm going to do now, just to get rid of my pen marks. And we are good. So next up, we're going to want to attach our ribbon, which I've put somewhere safe. Here it is. Now the ribbon, again, there is no specific measurements as such. I tend to go for twice the length of the roll plus a little bit. So I just happen to have this little piece in my stash, and it just happens to be big enough. So twice the length of the roll plus a little bit, and that, if you really want to be precise, is 24, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 36 inches. But yeah, that's all you want. So I've just folded my ribbon in half, and I'm going to take that folded end and I'm going to place it down the side here. Now what you want to do is work out where your flap is going to fold over. So if you just bring your top half down so it covers by about ½ inch, you're going to see sort of what your finished roll is going to look like, and then you're going to want to place your ribbon roughly in the centre. Now if you want to measure, you can do, but you really don't need to be that precise. You're just going to work out roughly where the middle is once your flap is folded down, and then you can just take a pin or a clip and just clip it in place. And then you're going to run a little line of basting stitches just along the edge. Now you don't need to change your sewing machine up to a larger stitch length or anything like that. You're going to run a line of stitches really close to the edge within a quarter of an inch seam allowance, so that you're not going to see it when you sew the whole thing together. So just very close to the edge here, about 1/8 of an inch in, just run a couple of lines of stitch here, just go down and back, just to baste it in place instead of having it pinned in place. I'll show you now. Now I put this on the right hand side as well, so I'm just going to put that down, and I'm just going to go forward and back, just at 1/8, just to baste it in place. Let me know once you're done. You can trim off your loose thread. I've got lots of thumbs up in the comments now, so if you just type done or put a different emoji. Otherwise, I don't know whether we're doing the last step or this next step. How long again? As long as the roll plus a little bit twice over. There is no specific measurement. It was 36 inches, but it doesn't have to be precise. Jane's done. Lovely. My tie is velvet. Do I put the velvet inside? It says velvet on one side and not on the other. Yes, so when it flips out here, it's going to, hang on, that's a good question. When it's rolled up, you're going to be, oh yes you do, you'll put velvet side touching velvet side, if that helps, Debbie. Velvet touching velvet, velvet touching velvet. That's going to be very swanky. Lovely. Okay. Once I've basted mine in place, what I like to do is then just tuck my ribbons into my middle pocket. That just stops me from getting them caught up, because at some point later on we're going to sew all the way around the outside of this, and it's really easy to, if you've got your ribbons, you can get them trapped. So I just tuck them into one of my middle pockets, just so that they're tucked out of the way, out of harm's way. You can just tuck it a bit further down as well if you want to, just to make sure that they are nicely safe and out of the way, like so. Alright, now this is the point. If you did want to quilt your fabric, you can do so. What you would want to do is set that to one side, take your main outer piece, take your wadding, and just quilt it, make it really pretty. You can do diagonal lines, you can do swirly whirlies. We are not going to do it today, okay? We don't have time to do it today, but it is an option if you want to make a quilted roll. We will still be using this wadding though, so it's going to just give us a little bit of stability. If you've got fusible fleece instead of wadding, then at this point you're going to want to fuse your fusible fleece to the wrong side of your fabric. But we're not worrying about gluing it, we're not worrying about basting it, we're literally, I'm just using a normal piece of wadding, so I'm just putting my fabric on top of my wadding, and I'm just leaving it be. I'm not going to quilt it or do anything with it. So that is the next stage that you want to do. Attach your fusible fleece if it's fusible. If it's not, just pop it underneath, and if you're not using any wadding at all, that's also fine. What we're then going to do is take our two pieces of fabric and place them right sides together. So you'll have your wadding, if you're using it, or your fleece uppermost. So our two fabrics are right sides together and our fleece is on top. If everyone can just give me an okay that they're all right with that before we carry on. Just going to realign mine. It's a little bit wibbly wobbly. So I've got a sandwich. And then once you've got it all lined up and you've got a nice little sandwich, you can take some clips. This method is really, really similar to the tea bag holder that I did last week. And I think it will help you see that actually a lot of things are constructed in very similar ways. And once you've learned how to make a few basic things, you can take a lot of those elements and put them together to make other things. It's alive. thumbs up. Good, good. So hopefully you're all clipping now, or pinning. Keep breaking up so I miss bits. Okay, sorry Elspeth, I can't help that. As I say, the internet is not playing ball today. It's not in my favour. Here we go. Everyone's let me know when they're all clipped up, please. Just in case you missed this, Elspeth, we've got our fabric right sides together, and then we've just laid the piece of wadding on top. Lovely, done, good. And let me know when you're done. Lovely, and Debbie are done, brilliant. Somebody clipped, lovely. So quite simply, all we're going to do is sew all the way around here with 1/4 inch seam allowance, but we're going to leave an opening along the top edge. So I just like to mark my opening just with some pins. I just leave, 3 fingers maybe, doesn't need to be massive. Just mark it with some pins. So I'm going to start here. I'm going to sew along until I get to 1/4 inch from the corner. I'm going to make sure I leave my needle down, lift up my presser foot and pivot and turn. So all the way down to this edge, pivot and turn, all the way along, pivot and turn, all the way up, pivot and turn, all the way to this pin. And I'm going to do a back tap at either side of this pin, leaving this section unsewn. I'll talk you through it. I know most of you who are sewing along know how to do pivot turns, but for those who are watching on the replay who perhaps don't, I will talk you through it as I sew. So those of you who can, crack on. Those of you who can't, watch. So we're going to start by one of our pins with the edge of my presser foot on the edge of my fabric, as my machine does a nice 1/4 inch seam allowance like that. Pop the needle down and do a little back tack. So a couple forward, a couple back. And then I'm going to sew until I get 1/4 inch from the corner. Now I can see that by eye. If you can't, you might want to measure it and make a mark. And I'm going to make sure my needle is down in my fabric, lift up my presser foot, turn my fabric and put my presser foot back down again. That's going to mean that I'm not going to break my line of stitching. I'm going to sew all the way down to the bottom. And stop when I get 1/4 inch from the bottom. And pivot again. And I'm going to carry on doing that all the way round until I get back to my other pin. And when I get back to my other pin, I'm going to do a couple of stitches backwards and cut my threads. So I've now got this little section unsewn. Okay, I'll wait until everyone's there. Let me know when you're there. Great. Okay. Lovely. So let's take those pins out now. Before we turn this in the right way, we're going to want to remove the bulk from the corners so that we can get nice, neat corners. So we're quite simply just going to cut across the corner of our fabric, being really careful not to cut the stitches. You don't want to end up with a hole in the corner, and you're just going to snip off that excess fabric. Having a drippy day, forgot to remove pins before clipping. Oh, the pins in the pocket bit. That's okay, don't worry, Sam, but just be careful when you turn it in the right way, that you don't stab yourself. You'll be able to take them out once you've turned it in the right way. If anyone else has left their pins in their pocket part as well, which is inevitable, I didn't actually tell you to take them out, so it's partly my fault. Just be careful when you do turn in the right way. We don't want to stab ourselves. So we've clipped all the corners. Then you're going to go in. You want to be careful. You want to make sure that you go in between your two pieces of fabric and not in between your fabric and your wadding. Go in between your two pieces of fabric, and I find the easiest way to turn it round is to start with the top corner, push that through, and then you can start to carefully push the rest through and just turn it in the right way. I've lost my ring. Look. Fingers are getting thinner. Right. Once it's started to come through, I find it's easy to go in with a chopstick, a knitting needle, or whatever you use to poke out your corners and help poke it all through. It's nice you've been able to join us, Sam. I would have thought you'd have been at work today. Got the weekend off. There we go. Alright. Almost there, people. Almost there. Once you've turned it in the right way, you're going to want to rub it between your fingers and thumbs just to make sure that you've got the edge of the fabric right the way out. It's really nice and neat. And then you're going to want to turn in that opening at the top by 1/4 of an inch. Make sure it's nice and neat. Give it a good finger press. I want those folds to be touching each other so that when we top stitch round in a minute, it's going to be a nice invisible close. Once you've finger pressed it and you've got it all nice and neat, then you're going to give it a really good blast with some steam on your iron. Okay. Let me know when you get to that point, and then we'll top stitch. Those of you who've been sewing along, if you can hold on posting your pictures to social media for me, I'd be really grateful. What I'll try and do is get this downloaded and uploaded as quickly as I can and pop it straight onto YouTube so that you can have a link to share. And I'll try and do that as soon as I get off this live stream, so just give it half an hour or so, wait till you see that I've posted on YouTube. I'd be really grateful. Otherwise everyone's going to go looking for something that doesn't exist, which is rather annoying. If you're watching this on the replay on YouTube, just ignore everything I've said. Lovely, and just done, Jane's done. Brilliant. Let's flip to the overhead. There we go. So all we're going to do now is top stitch all the way around. Now I'm starting where my hole is. I want to start to the left of my hole, so I'm going to sew that closed first of all. That just means I can do it nice and neatly. You're going to be sewing with a 1/8 seam allowance, that way you can be sure that you're going to catch both sides of the fabric around that hole. So off you go. Stop when you get to the corner. Again, make sure you've got your needle down. It might need a bit of a push and a bit of a helping hand on that corner. That's okay. When you get to your pocket here, be careful that you don't catch your pocket, and be careful that your ribbon isn't facing in. You want your ribbon to be facing out when you top stitch over it. Hi Kate, I'm glad you found us finally. YouTube wasn't working. Don't panic, I'm going to upload this again to YouTube, but also it will be here for you to see. So I'm going to carry on top stitching all the way around. I think it was Kate that posted in the Facebook group that you could do these as cutlery rolls if you were having a picnic. So when you get back to where you started, you're just going to do a couple of stitches over your starting stitches, and that's going to work like a lock stitch. Stop it from coming undone. And then you are done. They are super easy. Super quick to make. Even with all of the hoo-ha, we would have done that in under an hour. Trim off any of your loose threads, and then they're ready for you to put whatever you're going to put in. Fold over that top section, and then you can roll up your roll. Take your ribbon one round one way, one round the other, and tie it in a beautiful bow. And there you have it. I'm going to just do my little fishtails on here to stop this from fraying. Never remember which way to go. No way, that way. There. Let's do this one as well. Beautiful. One little hook roll. Jackie says just watching rather than doing. No worries, Jackie. Says, do you have a certain hashtag we should use for sharing our makes? Just hashtag BTHQ is absolutely fine. For the BTHQ made, we could start a new one, couldn't we? BTHQ made. Do both. Fabulous. Well, thank you so much for taking part, everybody. If you've got any questions in the meantime, feel free to leave them in the comments. I'm going to leave this live stream up on my channel, but I'm also going to download it and upload it to YouTube, so you can share the YouTube stream if you're going to be sharing it on social media. Obviously, not everybody is going to be friends with me here on Facebook. So thank you for taking part. Hopefully next time it will work a bit better. For those of you who aren't already in my Beautiful Things Sewing Club, if you like the way that I teach and you like the things that I'm teaching you, the doors to the Sewing Club are currently open for the 1st of April term start. So you can have a lovely monthly project dropping into your account for you to work your way along with, and you can come and join our fabulous group of lovely sewy people in our forum. It is a fabulous club to be part of, and you can join at a beginner level or an intermediate level. I will pop some details into the comments here, and they will also be on the YouTube upload. So lovely to sew with you all. You are all more than welcome. Let me know what you want to do next and I will consider doing another live stream. It won't be next weekend, but possibly the weekend after. I will see you all soon. Oh, I don't think it's you, Claire. Debbie Shaw had exactly the same issue going live on YouTube this morning. I don't think it's me either. So Vicky had an issue last night with his DJ set as well. So we will see. Okie dokie, everybody. Bye.